Very, very unsurprisingly, Disclosure Day is not off to a good start at the box office. Now, to give you some context, as you can see here from Box Office Mojo, The Mandalorian and Grogu made $81.6 million domestically in its opening 3-day weekend. Over the course of the 4-day Memorial weekend, it made $98 million. It had a budget of $165 million. Masters of the Universe is unfortunately a major bomb, bringing in just $29 million domestically on its opening weekend. That film had a budget of somewhere between $170 to $200 million. Now, here we have Disclosure Day, which admittedly has the smallest budget of those three films at about $115 million. It's brought in just $44 million domestically on its opening weekend, which I think is very low, and $92 million worldwide. Now, as a reminder, studios get more of the cut from US cinemas than they do from cinemas internationally. So, although the international box office is obviously very important, the lion's share of profits come from cinemas in America. In order for Disclosure Day to be profitable, it's likely going to have to gross about $430 million approximately. So you basically take the budget, which again is $115 million, and then throw on the marketing budget, which is usually around $100 million for films like this, but that exact figure is seldom disclosed for some annoying reason in Hollywood. They never get specific about marketing costs usually. So you add those two figures together and then you double it, and you get basically $430 million. So that's just my rough estimate. Weekend to weekend drop-offs can be steep at times. I mean, The Mandalorian and Grogu dropped 70% from weekend 1 to weekend 2, just as a for instance. So I think if Disclosure Day has a similar significant drop-off, it's gonna be in real trouble. Already $44 million domestically is a really bad opening weekend for a film like this. And to make matters worse, the film is just really poor, in my opinion, and I cannot see word of mouth being positive for this movie. I mean, who's going to recommend it? As many people have pointed out, the film feels like the kind of alien conspiracy story that we've seen maybe 20 or 30 years ago when there was distrust in government, but still some semblance of trust in media. But today, there's understandably not an awful lot of trust in either institution. And I think in the world of today, the kind of alien conspiracy story that would work great is a movie in which maybe there's a fake UFO incident and it's part of a grander government plan to achieve some wider agenda. I think that would have been received far better than this. So I think that Spielberg should have been more cognizant of how the internet has created a much more skeptical population than when Close Encounters was made. Yes, you can still do a straightforward alien invasion story like War of the Worlds, and sure, you can put an interesting spin on that. There's something very stock standard about stories like the aliens are here and the government is trying to keep it a secret, and the public are definitely going to believe it when, we go to the media and put it on TV. Like I said in my review, with today's low institutional trust, social media and AI, it's unlikely that the public would react in the uniform manner that they do in the film. I mean, it's so silly now. The film is so out of date that they have to contrive some slipshod reason for why Daniel doesn't just release all of his evidence online rather than trying to get it out on TV. Not that putting it online would make the public any more likely to believe it was true, of course. I think Spielberg and the film's writer, David Koepp, really misjudged the zeitgeist at this moment. A story about how the government is trying to suppress information about alien contact is very 1990s. The X-Files did that far better. And when I think of the title, Disclosure Day, that elicits very different ideas in my head to the film that we got. It might have been fascinating if Disclosure Day was an actual official US or UN government disclosure of alien contact, revealing all of it intentionally to the world with evidence, because maybe the aliens are now ready to make contact with us officially, possibly as part of a full-blown alien takeover of Earth. Maybe the aliens are ready to reveal themselves. That would have been quite jarring. So instead of the government trying desperately to keep a lid on the aliens, maybe they are the ones who are instructed by the aliens to reveal everything. This immediately generates all kinds of compelling questions, such as why now? What is the nature of the influence that the aliens have over our world leaders? What is the next stage of their agenda, and what plans do the aliens have for humanity? I think they really could have leaned into more of a horror, thriller, survival story. Maybe my version is not super original, but certainly I think it's far better than this film that we ended up getting. There's more possibilities to take it in interesting directions, and also a chance to lean into the public's distrust of authority, uncertainty, and doubt, really cranking up the paranoia. People don't know what to believe anymore, it seems, and the film could have explored the anxieties that arise from such a monumental event taking place at a chaotic time, and where the truth has seemingly become an illusion. And maybe the film could have revealed how that's all by design. Maybe the aliens are the ones who have given us all this technology. Perhaps the aliens are the ones who are building this digital control system, a mass surveillance state. Maybe their influence has given us the internet and data centers and smartphones and telecommunications over the course of the 20th and 21st centuries. Perhaps they're building a digital system of control in order to manage humanity like we're cattle on a farm. Could have been fascinating. And perhaps they've generated this problem, reaction, solution situation right now where with AI, maybe they gave us AI and they've made it so now that we don't know what to believe anymore. So this film could have capitalized on the current mood in a major way. That's what could have been. Instead, films like Backrooms and Obsession, they're the movies that really spoke to audiences. Backrooms spoke to the loneliness and disconnection and the isolating, alienating nature that people feel in modern life. Obsession was a satire of the current anxieties and challenges of modern dating. And perhaps that's the key takeaway right now when it comes to movies at the box office. What's working and what's not working. Because I think audiences are really resonating with films that speak to them in a meaningful, relatable way with respect to what they're feeling from everyday life now. Technology, social media, information overload, isolation, the culturally stagnant age we live in, the lack of meaning that people feel from modern life. People want to make sense of it all, or to connect with a story that meets them where they are. Backrooms and Obsession were two horror movies that did that very well. Disclosure Day could have achieved that also, but it missed the mark by failing to read the room. Those are just some additional thoughts that I had about this movie. Ultimately, I say this because I can't really see this movie being heavily recommended by a lot of people who go to see it. And I think that's critical. I think that's critical because that's going to have a big impact weekend to weekend at the box office for this film. So I think we could be looking at this film failing at the box office, to be quite frank. Anyway, that's going to do it for now, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.